If you didn't check out our first video, watch that first. I will show you how to measure, cut, and router all these pieces to create your own molding. In this video, we're going to put everything together and get it up on the wall. Let's get started. So it was pretty cold in my garage, so I decided to use my wife's kitchen island. So what I'm doing is basically stacking all the different pieces that I have, starting with the main 5-inch piece. A little bit of glue goes a long way. That way any type of contraction or expansion is minimized. And then I'm taking the nail gun and just tacking it on both sides. So I'm making sure, number one, with my square there, that it has the same amount of reveal on both sides, tacking it in, making sure that it's flush along the back end, and then just driving in a couple nails up and down the board. Again, you want to make sure that this MDF is tough. You want to make sure that you're not blowing out the side with any of those nails. A little bit of extra glue here. And in doing this layer option here, you're never going to have to fill any nail holes on the top, because you're going to layer everything in, and then this top piece will be up so high off the ground you won't have to fill the nail holes from the top. Again, just kind of tacking it in on either side, making sure that the back is flush. And I put that paper down for my wife's countertop to make sure I didn't get any glue on it, but that paper usually just seems to just come off the countertop, and I just clean up the glue when I'm done. I think I'm using 1.5 inches or inch and a quarter brad on this. Doesn't have to be, it's not structural, it's very, very easy. A little bit of glue goes a long way. And just make sure that your reveal on both sides is somewhat centered. The best thing to do, which I did not do here, is just make a center mark on that 5-inch piece, and then make a center mark on all of your pieces, and just line that up. That would be probably the quickest and easiest way to go. Now for that bottom 1/2-inch piece. As you can see, the brad nails next to my nail gun, I did switch out my nails. I was using a little bit longer for the top. And for the bottom here, I used, I think, probably 1 inch nail or something of the sort. So it wasn't so long that I was trying to drive into that 3/4 inch by 5-inch piece. Once you got a bunch of nails into it, this is going to stay together. You can start to caulk this up pretty quick afterwards. So as you can see, we've put all this together. We've nailed it, glued it, and it's all set. I had one small blowout here of one of the nails. I'll just sand this down and fill that in, and they'll be able to tell. Again, this is going to be painted. And the edges don't have to be exact. The first one does. So you do want to measure that, and everything else I basically just eye up, and away you go. This is a piece that's all done. A lot of my joints are very flush, but I will go back with a little bit of caulk and caulk through this, and then I'll go through and put down my first coat of primer, sand it up, another coat of primer, sand it up, and then put down my first base coat. So obviously I'm going to paint in the kitchen because it's too cold outside to cut. So I thought I'd do it right here, and my wife doesn't mind. So for the primer, I've started to use this bin primer. It's shellac base, interior and spot exterior, and it works really, really well. Paints on, and it dries very quickly, so you can get a couple coats done within an appropriate amount of time. Needless to say, you really push it into all those edges from the MDF. Really soak that up. I put on 2 coats of this and sanded in between. If I had to do it again, I'd probably do 3 coats on the edges and everything else using 2 coats. Anywhere I could, we'd like to use the roller just because it's just such consistent layering on the paint. Now it's time to put on the top piece. Because this is so long, you definitely want to get somebody else to help you. And you want to make sure that this is centered. So I put a center mark on the center of the molding, and then put a center mark on the center of the window and line that up. Make sure you've got a good level to make sure that you are level across the entire piece, because your eye will look at this and then align that with the window. So you want to make sure that that's level. Go ahead and make sure that the entire wall or window is covered on the bottom of the molding. And then go ahead and take some good size nails and drive them in. Again, this is not structural, so it doesn't have to be completely overdone. You just have to make sure that it's firmly attached to the wall and it's not coming off. Now it's time to attach the windowsill. That square right there has got a level in it. So I took that, made sure that it was level, and then nailed it down to the 2x4 underneath it. Moving that level around a little bit to make sure that each side was level, so it doesn't look off to the eye. Not very difficult, you just want to get it right the first time. Again, not really structural, it's just laying on top of that 2x4 underneath it. Now you're going to want to take your side pieces, put them on top of your sill underneath, and then mark how tall that these are going to be, and mark which one, if it's the left or the right, so you don't get these messed up, which I've done before. Now as you're putting this in, if your window, the wall of it, the side of it, is not straight, you can bend that MDF slightly. That way it follows the contour. You can shift it into place. You don't want to do it too much, then your eye will find it and look that like it's not level, not plumb. Now you're going to put the piece of molding underneath the windowsill. In the past, I have glued this, but I have found that you don't really need it. A couple of brad nails shot into the 2x4 that's sitting underneath the windowsill, and it's just fine. Again, this is not structural. You just got to make sure that it's set that when the kids bump it or get on top of it, it's not going to come off. Make sure that your reveal on the left and the right are consistent, and I do that with my adjustable square, and then away we go.
Yep, we're good. Hold tight.
And always make sure that you have the person help you who requested it in the first place.
That way they can understand the amount of work that you put into it. All right, ready? Pick it up. And if that person who requested is not around, you can always get one of your 3 daughters to give you a hand. And this is the last piece. You're going to nail this in, make sure it's nice and tight, and trued up on both sides. And understand that for every nail hole that you're going to do, you're going to have to come back and patch them up. For anything that's like a nail hole or something like that, I use spackle because it's not going to move. Anything that's a joint, I use a silicone base caulk. That way the movement is can be done with and not have it crack or anything like that. And I usually put an ample amount on and make sure it gets down deep in that crack, and use a little bit of water and I just smooth it out. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 applications to get this done. But anywhere where the molding is set against the wall, even there's a little bit of reveal there, I'm going to seal that up. That way your eye isn't drawn to it. Now that part of the wall right there is going to be painted white to match the molding. Your eye will hardly even notice that it's there. Make sure you push that paint into the edges of that MDF and soaks it right up, even with the primer still on. That's it. You just created your own molding. If you've got any questions, please put it down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.